episode of BramRadio. Glad you're here with us. Hey, that music that you just heard, by the way, is something we have never really done before, is really talk about where that music comes from. But I want to thank Michael Rodriguez, MROD, of AWAT and Battle Rifle Company in Houston, Texas. He is an amazing musician, and you got to check out their stuff. It's on iTunes, Sound Breaking Ground. That song is, what's that song? The Life? Is it The Life? The song is called The Life. You gotta check it out. It has become our theme song here. It's a song we just love. So you have to check it out. Thanks, Emrod. You the man. This guy, when I met him, he had a bass clef tattooed on, well, still does. Has a bass clef tattoo on the inside of his wrist. And I was like, musician, I guess. Got it. Then I went into his gun room, and there's just nothing but basses lined up and acoustic guitars. He's got gold records on the wall and everything else, and he doesn't even mention that stuff. He's like, "Oh, dude, you gotta check out." He opens his gun safe, and it's like he opens up, you hear angel music, and it's awesome. And so, and then I actually got out of him kind of what he does, but he's open for bands like Tesla and played in arenas, and has a beautiful wife Margot, and these amazing kids, and they're just awesome. So he's been just a dear friend of mine for many years, and I brought him this idea, and I think in the summer before we got going on this even, I just said, hey, we're doing this thing. I really like this song. I'd like to use it. He goes, you can use any stuff that we have. And so thanks, Emrod. And also rocking my new Subluxed Jiu-Jitsu shirt today, given to me by my jiu-jitsu coach, Craig Baker. So giving that some love. See, like,
funny thing is, I might have to go and join that, man.
Come on.
There's some guys, some paras I see that they spar, and they make fun of each other because they're like, go ahead, ankle lock me. Yeah, I can't do anything. And they wind up going for the joke, and they get choked out. So it's like I can bait you and then switch you.
Right? Yeah. I love it. All right, everybody, I want you to meet our guest for today, Mr. Joe Denatto. I'm going to do the clap by myself because you guys are both holding cameras. But Joe Denatto. Woo! All right, Joe. Hey, thanks for being here today.
Oh, no,
Joe's been a friend of mine for, was it
2016 we met?
Yeah, so, man.
8 years. 8 years.
Yeah. And so.
You see me at. I met Jeff.
Put your microphone right in front of your face. There you go. Just pull it towards you. There you go. Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
I met Jeff back in April. I did a skydive, and then I wound
April
up.
of 16?
Yeah, April 16. I did my first, and at that time, Skydive San Diego was in transition, and I reached out to you, and you wanted to work with me, and then did my first jump. Those 2 jumps, I think, November of 2016. Yeah. And then that's when we kind of, had a little talk, and you kind of laid the ground rules down and, what was expected. And, we kind of went from there. And
yep, here we are. How many tandems have you done now?
Thanks to you personally, 33 here and total 46 tandems. And, 1 failed AFF, so I have 47, but I didn't pass the AFF attempt, so I'm not going to count that as a jump because that was a fail. That's fair.
So the people that are on Instagram right now have heard it already, but just for our podcast audience, there's something about you that it's you're in a wheelchair. That isn't what drew me to you. There was something else about you, and I didn't know what it was until later when you told me the story. We'll get into that in a little bit, but your story is absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that we're always talking about on this show is I have people in here that maybe people have heard of. Some of them are people that, if you're a skater, everybody knows Mitchie Brusco.
Oh, yeah.
If there's the leading authority on traumas, Dr. Greg, right?
I've seen
We've had John Blue on here, NHL hockey goalie. He had some awesome stories, but has been through some adversity. Everybody who's come here has been through something. We all have a story, right? And that's one of the things that, and that's what I was sitting down with the guys the other day. I think it was Zach was just like, man, you gotta have Joe on. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? Because whenever you and I talk, it's real talk. Man, we couple dudes sitting around talking real talk, right?
Well, I mean, life is short. When we first met, I asked Jeff a question, and I'll never forget this. It took me 10 minutes to ask him this question. And Jeff looked at me. He's like, Joe, I'm going to help you out. So he showed me how to deal with something in 2 minutes. And from that day, I kind of realized.
I remember
that.
What was the question?
I was asking you, like, because I wanted to do the skydiving thing, and we were talking about braces and stuff.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, okay, let's stop talking. You've done some tandems. Let's put this in play. Like, you show me, what you're bringing, and that way we can work off of you.
Pull this down a little bit for you so we can make sure we got you. There you go.
That way we can work together and be on the same line. And that's when I kind of realized that, you understood me in a different way than other people did.
Yeah.
I mean, you watched me fall in the wheelchair one day, and we both laughed.
That was one
and
of the funniest things.
I was just like, oh, can you push my feet? And he pushed my feet, and I popped back up, and I went on my way, and he went on his way, and it was like nothing. I mean, there was no one running to my aid, like, oh no, so.
Well, that's because they don't know you like I know. Like, I know you as being an insanely capable human. It's like you race cars. There's all these things that you do. Like you were showing me around your car. Like you have now you have this fancy vehicle that does all this stuff for you. But before you had a small little car, and watching you get in and out of that car, I was just amazed. I was like, this guy doesn't need it. He doesn't need help. He doesn't need anybody's sympathy. He might need some encouragement once in a while, but who doesn't? Sometimes you just got to get encouraged, a little bit. And yeah, man, you're an amazing human, man. I'm so glad you're here with us today.
I mean, and meeting you, I kind of learned that. I mean, and I didn't see that. Sometimes people mistake me, and I can come off cocky. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not mad at anybody. No one put me in the wheelchair. It was between me and an incident that happened with a gentleman. Now, I forgave. I'm not ever going to forget. But that's not my right to go and pass judgment, because I'd be just as bad as the person that did what they did. But, I mean, and being here, it opened up so many doors where I saw I had opportunities to maybe open other doors for people. Because the more I'm able to open and work with other people, the more they're able to see who I am, not what I'm in.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like people treat you differently when they see you rolling around in a wheelchair or something like that? Or are they ambivalent? Are they trying to help you with stuff all the time? Or what does that look like?
I've had people come up and definitely ask me, you need help taking your chair out? And I'm like, hey, thank you very much. I got it, though. I try to be very nice to people, because if I'm capable of doing something, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. Because there's going to come a time in our lives that there are things that we are no longer going to be able, all of us, that we're not going to be able to do as we get older and older. And if I can do it now, why not do it now? Why not be independent? Why? I mean, and then some people are bitter, and they've gotten a bad response from someone in a wheelchair. There's those mean people that are bitter in wheelchairs. They're out there, I mean, I can't project what happened to me on other people.
Sure. I
have to be accountable for that.
Yeah.
And that's like sometimes, like with you, like we kind of had a talk before this. I'm kind of seeing a psychologist myself. I'm not going to lie about it. I get low. People see a smile on your face, and they make that assumption that you're okay. Mm-hmm. But the thing I always do is I look at what you're not saying and what you're not doing. That will tell you a lot more than just hearing the words, I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Because a person that's not including themselves in something, and they're talking about what other people are doing, but they're not like patting themselves on the back and realizing what they're doing, that's the person you need to watch, because why are they not including themselves? What are you missing? Because everyone says, well, I didn't see the cry for help. Men don't cry like that. Some do, but I mean, I think a lot of us have gotten to the point where, I mean, crying to me is a thing of just like dirt in my eyes. I like that cry like when you're a kid, nose, you got, boogers everywhere, you can't talk, and, you let it out, and, parents kind of guide you through that, and it's like that ability to let go of things is gone. Like mentally, I lost that. And it's kind of, it sucks because, I can get really deep into something quickly, but then I've got to catch myself and use some coping skills and try to, work yourself out of that rabbit hole. Like, we had discussed, the mind is a very, very dangerous place.
Yeah.
It will put you, people say life. No, your mind will put you on the ground and leave you there. And unless you've got it and you want it, you're not going to get up.
There's a thing we always say at the end of every podcast. We always say, "Stay dangerous."
Oh yeah,
because you're and there's different types of dangerous, right? The most significant danger that you can or be able to portray the most dangerous, I guess, front is in your mind, and the person who is knowledgeable, wise, well-read, somebody who is calm, they display a level of stoicism. In other words, not every emotion that's happening or is showing up, they're just sometimes in certain situations that's not the time for emotion. Sometimes you need to just keep a cap on it.
Yep.
and get through it, and then
deal with that.
Deal with it later. Yeah. 100%. But being dangerous means that you can think clearly and you can get through a situation with you and your loved ones intact while just using your brain.
But that's a danger of control.
Right. But what about like when somebody comes up and they're all confrontational and they're just coming after you? They're being able to just think your way through it, use your words. Doesn't mean you got to go to guns on somebody, right? And start slinging, start throwing hands on people just because you're angry. Sometimes you just got to be able to take a step back and say, you know what? This is not the time or the place.
My father being in the Navy during Vietnam, I was 65. I did 4 years. Man of color, graduated. Back in those days, a man of color who graduated, you had two choices. You were getting drafted or you could pick your branch.
Yep. Move your microphone closer.
So,
yeah. You got to manage that whole thing. Yep.
Try to not move yours.
Yeah.
But, no, so he went through that, and he went through some adversity in the Navy back then. There was some racism back then. His last name is Italian, so they put him in the front where the white guy slept. Well, I guess an E5 told him to go there. My dad was like an E2. One of the guys was an E3, told him, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "E5 told me to come here, and that's where I go." And they told him, "No, you go down there." And he said, "No, you're an E3, and E5 told me to go here, and this is where I'm going to be." And that's how, stories I heard from him. He took a test in the Navy. They questioned him on how many bubbles are in a bar of Irish Spring soap. He brought the test to his quartermaster. I forgot what they call him in the Navy, what he said, but he was watching them as they were taking the test. My dad walked up and he goes, "Man, I'm not going to continue on. This test is, I don't know how many suds are in a bar of Irish Spring soap." I mean, it was just, but he taught me a lesson of what you're saying, and being dangerous is good, but you've got to control that. Keep those demons on a leash because they will save you. But you gotta know how to control them. But a true man, like us, we can sit here, we can agree, or we can agree to disagree. We can shake hands and we'll leave here, and I'm not gonna beat my opinion into your head. You're not gonna beat my opinion out of my head. So, I mean, throwing hands is pretty much two ignorant fools that don't know how to talk. Like, hey, I don't like you. You don't like me. Okay, let's agree on that. You go your way, I go mine. We just solved the problem. It took me time. Like, sometimes, like, I have a dream, and I know that, in your history, you actually were integral in being a master rigger. Didn't know that. I kind of looked at, your background. I didn't know that you were credited 16 lives that you saved. People went to their reserved, and hey, what you did, it worked. I mean, that's a pat on the back, man. What you guys do out there is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, being here makes me more at home. I can get along better with the military population than the civilian population. Like, military guys don't look at my wheelchair. They're more of the people that want to open the book and just, like, every book has that introduction page. It's the front of every book. Tells you about the author and the story. But everyone seems to want to judge me by the book, but no one opens the book. And then that's where I become called cocky or he's a jerk, but you never read the book. If you read the book, you would realize it's a coping mechanism. I'm seeing if you're willing to be deep enough to see if I'm really an asshole.
Right.
And when you find out that, hey, this guy's not really, like, I mean, bad, kind of maybe a bad coping mechanism, but that's just one
So you were so you're born in North Hollywood. So you're from here in California.
North California.
And then at 3,
yeah, we did. Dad did move to Louisiana.
And you were there for what, 5 years or so?
Yeah, about five years.
Yeah. New Orleans area?
Opelousas, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at 8, right? Where'd you go from there?
My mother worked for Social Security back there, and they offered her a job here. So we came back. My father bought some houses when he got out of the Navy. Back then, houses were cheap, and being Navy had good credit, so he invested in houses, and just kind of rented those out. But yeah, so we went there. He did oil rigs in Louisiana. He was working out in Corpus Christi, 7 days on, 7 days off. But that kind of helped, living in a cheaper environment with a good job to help, pay for the houses here.
So then you were here for like since you were 8. That's when you moved back to San Diego, and you've been here ever since.
Yes.
What kind of stuff were you into? What kind of trouble did you get into as a kid when before we had our little incident that got us in the wheelchair? What happened? Like when you grew up, like what were you like as a kid?
I was an only child, and I was the menace of the family. I was a troublemaker. I don't know. I just always find that adventure in life, like safely pushing,
Sure,
is so peaceful.
I don't buy that for a second, Joe. Safety, you're a safety third dude. You expect me to buy that? Come on, man. Seriously?
Okay, I tried my best on that one, but I plead the fifth on that, so all I know is don't threaten me with a good time. Jeff has learned that the hard way.
Yep. So sports?
No, I played baseball, football, basketball. And then I moved here and started surfing. I hit the water one day, and that was home.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been that, y'all.
Yeah.
I know some ex-Navy SEALs don't like the water anymore, and some do. So I don't know if it's not liking the water. I think they probably just don't like the cold. I'm allergic to cold. I'm allergic. Cold ice bath. Well, yeah. Just because I don't like something, there's doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But I mean, it's like it's cold. It's like there's symptoms to my allergy. Like this legitimate. It's clinical. Wow. It's clinical. Like I get bumps on my arms. I shiver a little bit. I get a little grumpy. I didn't know you could even.
have an allergy to cold water? Yeah. I didn't either until I went to Bud's, but then that's when it became apparent to me. I'm totally kidding. So it's I can't believe you bought that, dude. Come on, man. You thought that was a slow moving train. You gotta can you jump off the tracks back?
Man, it like this guy just like short pier, long drive me. Don't worry, man. It says dead end, but you got a little bit more to go. I can't believe you. I was about ready to say it didn't sound right.
So you went to you got a job. What were you doing? Were you working at a shipyard or something like that? Were you doing?
Actually, no. I turned 18, moved to Hawaii for a year. I was working on big wave surfing in Maui. I was learning. It's a skill they call rock running, to breathe up cardiovascular. So you get like you and another guy, and you'll start in 15 feet of water. You swim down, grab the rock, run into your lungs. Your lungs are on fire. As soon as you hit the surface, your buddy goes down. He grabs a rock. He runs till his lungs are on fire. And you keep doing this repetitively because it's preparing you for that beat down and come back up, and you've got to get that and get ready to get drilled again. So it's kind of that like, yo, you don't know when I'm going to pop up, so you've got to always be ready. And that's how, and then I came back here. I wound up getting into the shipyard. I was a ship fitter. Kind of did some builds there. I got to work at 32nd Street.
All right.
A couple times they would bring us over, like needed repairs.
Yeah.
That the Navy couldn't do that we kind of were a little bit better at. So, I got to see,
So, the incident that you brought up earlier, are you okay walking me through that? Yeah, let's do that. Like like a year setting, you're driving. So walk me through that.
No, it was a Wednesday morning, June 27th, 1997. I was driving home. An older gentleman, I was 21, he was 44. He said I cut him off, and then I turned my lights off on the freeway. So he followed me off on my exit, and you get off the exit, there's a light, you make a right. He said I ran that light. Then we got to the next light. That's when I look over. I'm in the turning lane. He's next to me. And I look over, and I'm looking at down this barrel of a snub nose 357. I was raised around guns. I know what I was looking at. So, I mean, my first instinct was first gear, go. I mean, I don't carry guns. I wasn't raised that way. But, it accidentally went off. Then the news kind of ran with it, and because of my age, the first day they kind of were like, well, a 44-year-old man with 2 kids shot him. He must have been doing something wrong. But I had a male witness in his mid-30s with children, another woman in her mid-30s with children that saw the news and came forward. And they were like, no, the woman went through the light on the bottom with me that he said I ran, and she goes, the light was green. I went behind Joe. And the gentleman on the freeway, he goes, yeah, he was driving fast, like he said, but I was right next to you. He never cut you off, and I never saw him turn his lights off. So within that week, an attempted murder plea got turned down to mayhem. That quick. But if I was 21 and I did what he did, I'd have been looking at 15 years.
So you said you were looking out the barrel of a 357.
Yeah.
And it accidentally went off, but you got shot by that gun. And
by the ballistics, 10 to 12 feet.
10 to 12 feet. And then the round went through the door?
No.
Didn't go through the door?
I had a Toyota truck and the back sliding glass. I had the sliding glass. It missed the bed, went right below the glass where that thin, like, a tin can material you can like bend with your finger. It went through that in the seat.
In the seat.
But the thing is, it's standing straight up in the middle of my spinal cord, about 2.25 inches away from the right ventricle of my heart. That's where it was supposed to exit. So how my spine stopped that, I've got to be here for some purpose.
Right.
I mean, anybody that knows guns, you're talking a 357 at 10 to 12 feet. I mean, that usually is not... That's not usually a good outcome.
So after he shot at you, then did he take off, or what happened?
He actually pulled over. He pulled over and got out, and from the police report, he was yelling at me while somebody pulled me out the truck. I don't kind of remember that part. Basically, honestly, I'll just put it this way. I knew I got shot because it literally felt like a Major League Baseball player just hit me in the back by a Louisville Slugger for a home run. Like, I got hit. I mean, I went straight into the steering wheel and, like, things just, I mean, you get this second of, I mean, I don't know if it's... I believe in higher power. I don't push religion on anybody, but I honestly saw my mom, I saw my dad, I saw the people, my friends and family, and then I realized the people I was going to hurt. And I mean, it just, I mean, it hit.
Were you did you go unconscious? Did you wake up in a hospital? He pulled you over. Somebody called 911, and then you went to the hospital, right?
Actually, back then, an illegal immigrant called 911. Right in front of 7-Eleven. Not even a United States citizen.
Wow.
This guy was here, probably took the risk of realizing that he could have been deported or something, but yet he still called 911. I don't know who that gentleman is. I wish I could. I would thank him for what he did. You know, he did more than the cops did. I mean, when a brother cop gets shot, you see them handle the situation. They cover him. They're there talking to him. I was the one calming myself down from shock. I used to be a lifeguard. That's one of the main killers of an accident you survive, is you going into shock. And I had to mentally keep telling myself, like, I've blocked things out because I don't know if I know how to deal with them yet. You know, I think we all find our time when we're able to deal with certain things. You know, some things are harder than others. You know, I mean, like an old analogy, now I got to wear glasses. I can't see the small writing. You wear glasses. So we obviously have, you know, eye problems, but they're not the same. You know, and I would never, you know, and I don't like to judge our injuries or our, you know, who's, oh, I'm more depressed than you because I saw this, you know, that I never go for. But it's just, yeah, I think we all deal with it in a weird way, and it's just.
So then, your hospital time. How long were you in the hospital for?
7 days. 7 days.
7 days.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow,
that was it.
I was expecting like 3 months.
7 days there, and they said 6 to 8 weeks for physical and occupational rehab, and I got out of there in 3.5 weeks. I saw, to this day, that was the kick in my butt. There was a 5-year-old kid. He was about 3 or 4 days in of me being at Sharp Rehab. They wheel this kid in, and I see him, and I see his parents crying, and I knew one of the nurses, and I asked, I said, what happened? And, well, he had come from a T-ball game. Someone cut him and his dad off. He flipped a truck. His son was paralyzed. And I realized that I'm 21 years old over here whining and crying when I had a little bit of life. I had some fun. You know, I've done my dare, you know. I mean, you see it. I mean, I kind of glazed over that a little bit, so I snuck past them. So
we heard it
on that one, but no, it's so. I I mean, I've just gotten to the point where I can't really even.
Yeah.
You just.
So since then, the guy that, and this is the part that really amazes me, right? So that guy pulled over, and is he the one that pulled you out of the car?
No.
He just came up just to yell at you.
I think it was illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
Pulled me out of the vehicle.
And then,
which,
by the way, if somebody has a
don't do that.
Potential spinal cord injury,
Do not move them.
Don't move them. You don't want to be pulling anybody out of any vehicles.
No. Do not, unless you know EMT or basic first aid, which will teach you. Leave that for the professionals. I know you mean the best. The best thing you can do is talk to that person, keep them awake, get their name, any allergies to medications, any contact phone numbers. That's information doctors need to know.
100%.
You don't know what you're doing, stand back.
Yeah.
Just let the people handle it. They know what they're doing.
So
people don't get that.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm helping a guy. I'm recording. No, you're not helping. You're putting someone in the shock.
Yeah.
Put that away. We need to talk calm.
Somebody pulled you out of the car. Like I had an internal cringe right there. I was like, oh God, that's not good.
I thought about it, but you've seen the X-ray. I mean, like the doctor said that I couldn't have paid them to put it any better than where it is.
Yeah. So, the guy that shot you, do you know him?
No. He was a machinist. I worked in National City.
Do you know him before that?
No.
Do you know him?
No, not at all. Never met him. Never talked to him. Nothing.
Got it. So then did you, so he went to prison.
Yeah. He was supposed to do 7 years. He got out 5.5.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Did you have any interaction with him while he was in prison?
He wanted to speak to me, but the problem is I can't talk to someone that is telling me a blatant lie. I grew up around guns. I've never in my life seen a gun go off unless you pull the trigger.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've seen my uncle climb up a stand and forget to unload his shotgun, and it dropped, and he got buckshot in his butt. But that's how shotguns work. Unfortunately, they do that. That's why you unload them and pull them up by a rope. But I think he was in a little bit too much of a hurry. But yeah, then to come to find out, the guy had 26 guns. The gun he actually shot me with was a competition gun. They had a 3-pound pull on the trigger. That is not normal for a revolver. Stock revolver is 5 to 7 pound pull.
Right.
You got a 3-pound pull. I know what the accident was.
So what does that do then for your view of like gun control and stuff like that? Like, you know, like right now they're
I own guns.
Yeah. But did you have did you ever go through that thing that a lot of people on the left are just like, guns are the problem? When guns aren't the problem, it's the people carrying them that are the problem. That's obvious, right?
Okay.
But where are you at on it?
On that, as someone in a wheelchair, I tried to reach out to organizations for guns. They won't talk to me about it. I never once. At the first moment, I kind of did blame the gun, but I stepped away from things, and we can't blame an inanimate object.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying like you try to reach out to some gun organizations or like NRA or something like that, right? And say, hey, listen, here's my story, and
I'm willing to stand behind you because I mean,
did they think that you were just gonna come after them, or
I don't know. I don't know why they would think that. I own guns. Go look at if I'm gonna come after you, and I'm gonna be one of these like hardcore gun people and just like conspiracy on guns.
Yeah.
Why would I go and own one?
Yeah.
Like you can go look up, it's on the Department of Justice record that I own guns. I mean, I'm not ashamed to hide that from anybody. The thing is, a gun to me is people don't respect the fact that a gun is no more different than your car.
True.
And the thing with that car is I can take out more people in that car than I can with a gun. And just because someone hasn't, well, it did happen once where people have driven through crowds, and how many people got hurt? And we're complaining about 30 rounds when like 50, 60 people were like laying down in the street. And you know, we're seeing across the world what cars are just driving through crowds are doing, and we want to like seriously worry about 30 round magazines.
Yeah.
Like all of the bad guns and incidents are because you've put the guns in the bad people's hands.
Well, I don't think we put them in bad people's hands. I think bad people are getting guns illegally.
They're stealing them.
Yeah, they steal them. Yeah.
And then when they're getting caught, they're not being dealt with properly.
Right.
Like you steal a gun. I mean, to me, at that point, like, bro, you stole a tool that is meant for protection.
Yeah.
Unless you're a competition shooter, your guns that you have are technically a tool for protection. That is kind of your last-ditch effort to protect your family and your life. I don't think any man in this world truly wants to take another person's life. I don't think that. I mean, I know there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah, not healthy people.
Yeah, exactly. I think someone that has a good common sense. If you want to break into my house, there's things that you can be replaced, but when someone's breaking into your house, man, you can't give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that they're just there to take your stuff.
Yeah. Since that, like I thought you had gone and visited him in jail. That's where I get this.
No.
Okay.
No.
And so where are you at right now as far as like how you feel about him? Like, do you hold any resentment, or because I'll tell you right now, like the average human is gonna hold resentment for it. It's gonna be the human nature of it, right? But forgiveness is such a powerful thing, and I'm just curious, like where you're at with that aspect of what happened to you, because knowing you for as long as I have, I see a guy who does stuff like I'd love to. I have friends that are NASCAR drivers, and I always tell them, like, dude, that's got to be the coolest job ever. You have experience racing cars and getting out and doing stuff that's like that's amazing. You don't let that wheelchair slow you down from anything that's a dream or a goal that you may have. However, your lifestyle is a little different now. Just calling it what it is, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
So how do you like, what do you do with that in the area of like either holding resentment against him or letting it go? Is there are you one or the other, or does it matter like what day it is and how you're feeling and all this other stuff? Man, if that guy hadn't just done this, I could be doing this right now. Like what road do you go down here?
I think in everybody's journey of healing through something traumatic, we all have that time where it sits in. It took me about 10 years. My friend, a good friend, he was getting married. I was his best man. And we went to church to do like before the wedding to go through what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed one day, and everyone had left, and I kind of just had to just realize, it's time to let go of this. Like, I'll never forget, but I had to forgive. But the funny thing is, this is, here we go again. This is something you'll probably understand better than the civilian world. I actually have more survivor's guilt over the situation than actual angst against him.
I don't understand. Explain that to me. Help
because
me
what was I doing at 90 miles per hour at 12:30 at night? The house wasn't going anywhere. And then look at all the people I hurt by that decision. I didn't need speed. That would have solved the whole problem. But sometimes my assessed need to just live on the edge. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love it. I love living on the edge, but there's a very, very high cost to pay. I was watching a thing I like, that people that climb Mount Everest. And you hear people talking, some people go and climb it, and they're like, see dead bodies, and they're freaking out. And it's like, dude, did you not know what you're doing? Like, there's people that will be up there, they're never coming back down. You know, but I mean, no, I somehow I self-internalized it, and I don't know, some way I made it my fault.
Are you still doing that?
Some days I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we talked before, you know, you got to be open. I mean, right now I'm seeing a psychologist. I'm kind of trying to figure some things out.
Right.
I'm done with, you know, all the pills. You know, I want to learn coping skills. Like, we only use 10 to 11% of our brain, and you're telling me you can't give me 1% of a coping skill that I can learn, but you'll write me a prescription? That's not healthcare. That's just quieting the demon so we don't have to deal with it. And that's why I think a lot of us, I mean, it's scaring me, because the number of vet suicides are going up, the number of male suicides are going up, and people are just not recognizing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, these new young men, I mean, I opened the door for a young lady because that's what I was taught to do by my father. You open the door for your mom.
Yeah.
You get smacked upside the head when you didn't do that. Talk back to your mom, you got popped in the mouth. You don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, people think, oh, well, no, your dad was cruel. My father was not cruel. Well, it's simple. My father didn't beat me. There's a pop in the mouth that you do to a little kid when he says a bad word. That's basically what happened. You know, and people think, oh, we were beat as Gen X kids. No, I wasn't necessarily beat. I did some stuff that actually I should have got beat for, but I got away with it. You know, we all did back then. I mean, I think you're kind of mid-70s.
Yeah. I'm 1970. Yeah.
Okay, I'm 75. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we grew up, I mean, our parents were like, get out of the house until the sun comes down. I don't want to see you. Like, beating, kid.
You had that too, right? Growing up, it's like, oh, hey, it's summer in Wisconsin. Yeah, dinner's at such and such. Bye. You know, and that's yeah.
All the kids nowadays, I don't see any kids playing outside.
Yeah.
Nobody's riding a bike. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody's just stuck.
Sammy's over there shaking his head like, no. It's like that's one of the great things about being out here in the country. You know, and we're in San Diego, but my kids, Sam and Micah, the two oldest boys, they got to spend a pretty good portion of their childhood out in the country, on quads, on motorcycles, cruising around on the property. Then they had 16 and started skydiving.
I knew that with these guys, man. I could tell from their dad.
Yeah.
From day one, I could. Yeah, I mean, I when I would come down here, I would see Sam when he was younger. He would just be packing. He would just be constantly packing a rig. He had this older rig, and he would just going. Yeah. He kind of sprouted on. Really sprouted on me.
Were you ever out here when he'd be getting on the plane and people would be like, "Whose 12-year-old is getting on the plane right now?" Like, he's not 12, he's 16, smaller than the average 16-year-old at the time. Now he's sprout up. Now he's bigger than me.
I mean, I saw him in a different light. I got to see him in the wind tunnel and doing something. People don't know the full background history. I mean, we don't have enough time to go there, but no, I saw. Yeah,
we have time.
We had some great times. I got to watch, both of your kids kind of, when we first met, kind of grow up, and it's amazing to see where Mike is at, where Sam's at. 'Cause, I mean, I could tell they had a good dad on them. They knew.
Yeah. They
knew if I want to be in that sky, grades got to be right. I got to be pulling my weight. Somebody's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. We'll talk.
Joe walked in the middle of that minefield, didn't he?
I got some help on that one for you. He's like, oh no, don't do that to me.
Joe, you said something earlier that kind of got my attention. That you feel like you have some survivor's guilt. Normally, survivor's guilt means that there was somebody who came back, but somebody who didn't, and the person who came back lives in a lane of, why couldn't that be me? Why did I come back, and why didn't they? And the answer to that question really is almost to the point to where, like, it's kind of like an ethereal answer, because God has a reason for everything that he does. And one of the biggest questions that I always get asked is like, well, why does bad things happen to good people? And if there was a God, why does cancer exist? And why are kids abused? And why are drugs? And why is, all this other stuff? But what people are missing a lot of times is that there is good and there is evil. If there wasn't evil, people would not have a gauge to be able to look at something and say that is good. It would just, everything would just be amazing all the time. But there is a fallenness to this world, which means that bad things are going to happen. The guilt, I think, and this is just me pontificating, right? This is not anything clinical. This is me guessing, right? Because I'm not that smart. When you had your incident, the things that occurred to you, that began to occur in your mind afterwards, are normal things that somebody who has gone through what you have gone through are going to experience. You just happen to be very well adjusted on the backside from an outside perspective. But in the inside, there's an underswirl that's happening, and it's messy and it's grimy and it's down in the bilge, right? The bilge at the bottom of a ship, it's down in the bilge. Oh, yeah. It's where people don't see. It's where people don't have access, right? And you know what's under there. And if you were to open that, right, the smell that would fill the room is not something that you want other people to experience. But the thing is that what happened to you is a direct consequence to the fact that we live in a fallen, sinful world where there is evil and bad people doing bad things, and your guilt that you're feeling is really just from a perspective of, I don't think if I could go back and do that again, what would I do? Oh, I wouldn't drive that fast on the highway and potentially piss this guy off and make him feel drawn into a confrontation that really, quite frankly, didn't exist. There was no reason for it. Obviously, the guy had anger issues. He had some things going on inside of his own background, his own psychology, his own relationship, the way he deals with things. The guy dealt with anger in a way which was extremely unhealthy, and it became clear and present with what happened to you, right?
I mean, you just broke down the story without reading it. He was a 44-year-old male, living at home with his mom, divorced, 13-year-old daughter, and an 11-year-old son, working as a machinist second shift. So what you just said, he failed at life with a wife, which is going to hurt. It would hurt me. And then you're dealing with kids. So, I mean, you just pulled it apart without me telling you.
Yeah.
And the survivor's guilt on that part, I feel survivor's guilt because I feel there's a part of Joe that died that day.
Oh, yeah. I get that.
So it's not like, like what you're saying, that's what I'm saying. I don't try and go so far into the military world because there are things that are misunderstood, and I've got to be very careful on that line. Mm-hmm. But it's just that guy that could go surf, that guy that was causing trouble, that guy that I'm not that guy, I had to kind of just, I went to rehab. I mean, I had to learn how to redress myself. I had to learn how to take a shower again at 21. Like, when we had talked and you were like, man, if something happens to you, do you know what can go wrong? And I didn't want to, come off cocky, but, now, we've talked, but I have been to those places. I know I've been where stroke victims are. I've talked to an elderly, I'll never forget her. She had a stroke and the doctor said she was good to go, but her kids decided to sell the house and put it in a nursing home. And I'm talking to her and she's like, yeah, I'm going to be leaving in like about 2 weeks. And this is what my kids said to me. All because she had an accident. She didn't even break her hip. It was raining. She slipped. She's an elderly lady. I mean, it's raining. I mean, if it was dry and she slipped, I might agree with you, but no, she was doing something she shouldn't have been doing. And that's their kids just put her in a nursing home.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've had some incidents. I've done I did 14 months bed rest in a nursing home. It was down and not that. Oh man, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, my one of my favorite things about you is that you're very self-aware. You understand the things that have happened. You've had time to process, and now you know, hey, listen, I still feel like I got some deficiencies, and I need to go and see somebody. And the thing is that the guy who can look at himself that way is going to always come out the other side, and you're going to come out the other side not smelling like smoke. And that's the goal, right? In this process that you've been going through right now, you're still going out there, reaching out and trying to get help. It's like we talk about alcohol use and drug use and all this stuff. We've had this discussion 3 or 4 times now over the years. And I've never heard you say, yeah, I'm just going to bury it in a bottle, or I'm just going to go and just get high, or I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to escape from this. I've never heard you say anything like that. What I did hear you say one time is like, yep, I got stuff inside of me that's missing, and I'm always in the search for what that might be. I think I'm going to go skydiving, and that type of stuff. What you're doing is you're finding healthy things, and you're putting those in those areas where a lot of people are going to go to the unhealthy side of things, right? And I just want to tell you, man, I'm super proud of you, and there are so many guys out there that don't have that. And this is a podcast where, I mean, this is just a podcast, and both people watching this thing, they're dudes.
Yeah,
I guarantee you they're dudes, because we deal with dude stuff here. Yeah. And when I like I said, all the people that are on here, they've always had stuff to deal with, and I'll talk to them before, and I'll find out what those are and say, can we talk about that? And if we go somewhere where you don't want to go, freaking just say, I don't want to talk about that. I'll follow suit. You're not gonna see me go do freaking hardcore investigative journalism, because I think that's ridiculous. My thing is to find things that you've been through that are going to help people on the other side of that lens right there, because they have their own thing. And we don't, here at BramRadio, we're not judging people based on, what you've been through is harder or not as hard as what I've been through, right? That's not a contest.
There's no pissing match,
right?
This
is how you dealt with it. There are guys out there that are saying, man, I wish I could have dealt with my stuff with the poise that you dealt with your stuff in. But the biggest thing for guys is that there's this thing out there, and we have a friend of the show. Her name is Val. And she was asking me one day if there's something that I regret as a parent. And I think that regret is a dangerous road. I think that when you start looking at regret the wrong way, when you start really focusing on regret, it's going to change the trajectory of things.
I'm with you. I don't have any true regrets. I lived my life the way I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's led me to the places. I've met some extraordinary people. I've got to do some extraordinary things. I've got to be a part of helping people be a part of some extraordinary things. I mean, on the side note, Bram, here they have a special suit for paraplegics, and I've watched a 100-year-old man skydive because of that suit. I watched an 98-year-old lady, young as can be, spry. She wanted to go, and she went up, landed all perfectly, and and I like to come here. I mean, it sometimes depresses me because I'm the only guy here in the wheelchair, but I kind of get it. I am kind of that odd. I'm not oddity, I guess you could say.
The thing is that you have the power to change that, and I don't. it's like you're my doorway into that world, because I have like Sam has a special needs sister. I have a special needs daughter who won't go near skydiving. She's 18 and she's like, nope, I'll have nothing to do with it. And you've met Annie, right?
No, I was lucky enough to find. Yeah, we had talked about her.
Sweet as it gets.
And one day, I have to say it, I was blown away by your sons, because Sam was in front of her, and Micah was behind her.
Yeah.
And that showed me a thing of respect that someone taught their child. You taught your children even to watch out for their sister, and those boys were right there. You were not getting near her.
I think I remember them, but what were they?
You're not getting near that girl.
Your mother, protect your sister, back up your brother.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah. Honor your mother.
Yep.
Protect your sister and back up your brother. Always, just right or wrong, back his play.
Never leave your friend or your brother behind.
Yeah.
I've met people that they swear this person's there and something happens, and that's the first person gone. It's that guy that when he says, I got your six, I don't have to look behind. I know that guy's there. Mm-hmm. And I've got to meet people like that. I know if I'm in a bad place, I know I can text you, I can reach out.
Yeah.
I know you'll pick up the phone if I'm in a bad place.
Yep.
Same here. One day I came here and, Sam pulled me aside. He's like, hey, man, my dad's going through some stuff right now. Can you text him? I texted you right up. I was like, hey, man, I had an awesome job. Everything's going good down here, man. I hope you're doing good. I get better.
Yeah.
We've kind of had that little
100%.
thing here and there. And that's why I think somebody's got to say it. Men got to stop being afraid to just... I deal with a woman psychologist. Maybe you don't want to talk to a woman. Maybe you want a man. Maybe group therapy isn't for everyone. Personally, I like to talk to someone solo. I don't like if you notice, I'll look at you and then I kind of glance here and I'll glance there. My situational awareness is a little bit different. Because if I'm doing that and you're doing the same thing to me, then see, we've now protected ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because I've got your back. I'm looking over here at Zach, which he doesn't realize I see him. And I'm looking over and I see the wall, and I know it's behind me. Mm-hmm. Everything. And if I see something in your face I don't like, I pretty much know something I might want to look.
Right.
And see certain rules like that with people they don't get.
Yeah.
They don't realize that I'm respectfully looking at you, but every now and then I might glance left or right. I'm not listening to you. I'm just always, like I said, I would rather talk my way out of a situation.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a man and talk, and just get out. But that's, for a civilian to sit there and, go through a way of thinking like that. When I go to restaurants, I don't eat with windows to my back. I know where every emergency exit is. I will not eat in the center, because you're in the center. Everyone's going to knock you out of the way to get out. It's the people on the edges that are going to get out first. If you think about it, if you're a smart man, if you know where the emergency exit is, when it happens, you know where to go. You're not looking. And that's the mindset that I kind of put myself into. So when I come here and I feel so much, and then I get in that plane. As soon as I get in that plane, man, that diaphragm comes on, and everything else has to stop.
Yeah.
Feelings, emotions, that has to stop. There's a diaphragm, there's facts, there's something I have to do. There's altitudes, there's rules, there's regulations, there's things I need to be head on a swivel until I touch the ground. And even when I touch the ground, my head on the swivel until everybody's on the ground. Mm-hmm. Is the role of the game.
Right.
And it just requires that part of your mind where you're not in your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking care of business.
Yeah.
And
that's a weird thing about skydiving. Zach and I talk about this all the time. It's like you don't have to go far in any drop zone to find broken people, because it's like they're trying to find something that could fit that addiction or the damage from abuses or rejection or whatever, and they're just looking for a family. That's one. The relationships aspect of around the skydiver community, the fight community has the same thing. You're going to be gravitating towards those people that have the same interests as you. But there's also just that adrenaline piece that's in there that was, I found this, I have a handful of skydives, but the ride to altitude, it's like I spend that. I'm at work. I'm trying to figure this piece out. I'm over here. I'm doing that. Da 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 da. You know. But as soon as the doors open, green lights on, and you're in the door, it's all.
I'm the
off.
same way. If you look at the videos on me, red light is in the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
As soon as it tell you it's green, it's like, okay, we're getting to the door. We're going to do a spot check. We're going to look front, middle, back. We're clear, ready, set, and we're gone.
Yep.
You know, and all that other stuff is just, I'll deal with that when I get on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that right now.
One of the things that happened when I first got here was the GM at the time, I asked him, I said, do we have any kind of program for people that aren't able-bodied to go out and do this type of, go and experience skydiving? He's like, nope, not going to do it. It's a liability. I was like, that's where we're different now. We're going to not see eye to eye on that. And
that's why my first jump was unfortunately not here.
Yeah, it took a couple months to have
9
that.
months, yeah.
Well, I did it because I didn't realize I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And then when I had the conversation with him, I remember thinking like, well, let's do something about that as soon as we had the conversation. So I talked to another guy, and he knew how to make the gear, and we started training the guys on it. And then since then, it's almost as though you become a staff member here, because now it's
I'm their test dummy, okay? Yeah. He just doesn't want to tell you that. So I kind of figure out things that may make people, I mean, the gear that they're using on me is phenomenal. It's going to help a lot of other people that don't think they can skydive. You can actually have a good time. You just may need to call and talk to the good gentleman.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was really good. I got to throw some of my ideas in there and see them implemented. And, I mean, it's an amazing piece to go out and do, you know? I mean, to be thoughtful. Because, I called Buzz at the beginning of 2016, and they wouldn't take me.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to go up north. And then someone said, yeah, you know, Sky San Diego's under new management. And I reached out, and you're like, hold on, bro. I'm going to give you a call back. And then, like you had said, I think that's when you went in and said, yo, we're going to change this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that was the first meeting I got to meet you.
You're the first one. And then since then, it's we have a guy that needs to get trained up on how to do it. I'm like, you got to go with Joe. Joe's going to be your instructor. He's going to show you how to do this from the beginning, though. Like, this is how you put them in the harness. This is, and I heard you have a conversation. I don't remember who it was, and this is another topic I'd like to talk with you about, is identification. When somebody says, there's all these words that they're going to be able to use, and a lot of people don't know how to address somebody if you're talking like about them. The guy in the wheelchair. Okay, well, what about him? Well, the guy that's handicapped. He's a paraplegic. I really don't know what to say. I don't know really what's offensive, right? Because different people, having met certain people. Remember Mary?
Yeah.
So Mary had her thing, right? And I don't remember what it was, but she's like, this is how I want to be addressed. And this is that. And so they have different views of that, right? But I remember you having a conversation with a tandem master, because he was talking to somebody else about something. You heard what he said, and you came over and you're like, hey, man, listen. People are in this situation. They like to be addressed as such, or this is how and you had this very awesome way of being able to say, he's like, oh, got it. I learned that. And then it was, how do we get him in the golf cart? Just get him to the airplane. This is how we go from the golf cart into the plane. This is how we get them buckled in, how we get Joe buckled in. This is how we get him hooked up in the harness. This is how everything in free falls the same. Yeah. This is how we're going to do it under canopy. This is how we're going to land. After we land, this is how we're going to go from landing back into the golf cart. And so you would walk the instructors through every stage of this, to the point to where it's like, we're just, me and the other instructors are just there to be another set of hands. But,
I mean, in doing that, you didn't realize what you were actually helping me do. Out of 46 tandems, all of those, I was learning canopy control skills but I was attached.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to make the mistakes and eat it and then go talk to my coach and find out why I ate it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had some, the instructors will kind of let me flare in, you know, and then once we get a little close on our final, some of them, you know, like kind of pull it up, Joe, wait, you know, don't want the boss to see, we don't want to get you hurt, and then this happens, and, you know, and hey, letting them get me to 250 feet, that's a lot of, you know, putting a lot of responsibility on me. You know, 330-foot square canopy, I don't weigh that much,
you have the experience to be able to do that now. You can do that safely.
I mean, if I had to, I could do it as long as you guys throw the drogue for me, or you put it in the BOC and it's not in your hand just flopping around. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now they're like, they don't even want me to hold the thing. They're like, put your hands out and look at the plane, and it's like, oh my god, these guys are just gonna push me.
Hey, so on that, like, so what is the safest way for somebody to address, I guess, label? I don't know. What's the word? For people who are in a wheelchair, people that have a handicap, they don't have use of their legs. What is the way that, because there's certain people that have different criteria.
Well, I mean, honestly, just be a genuine person.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is come up to me and say, excuse me, sir, I was just wondering, you know, what happened, or, you know, I mean, sir, ma'am, it's all you gotta really worry about. So, I mean,
Are there words that are just no goes? Like the word handicap, does that set well with you?
No.
Good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I would label you as the opposite of that.
Okay,
Having known you for a while now. Which is probably why I think it's kind of funny when you tip over in the chair.
Hey, I thought it was funny too. You saw me. I was like, you saw me protect my head, so I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you were on. I'm like, wow, that's not the first time that's happened.
So, I mean, I've gone downstairs. No.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've fallen down a couple flights of stairs a couple times. Yeah.
Keep the wheel side down while you're doing it?
No.
Really?
We'll slide up. Fuck, chair hit me. As long as I'm not knocked out and I'm laughing, we're all good.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of goes.
Good Lord.
Those are the rules. But no, I mean, addressing me or
you do freestyle tricks in your
I can do some, yeah. Yeah, and the van, one side has a ramp, but both doors open, and I'll go through the ramp and out the other door, and they're like, dude, what are you doing, bro? I wanted to see if it was possible. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've seen it, you know, there's certain things you don't threaten me, because to me, you think, some people are like, oh, no, they want you to go do this. And it's like, don't ask Joe. He's going to be like, he's going to say yes now, more.
Yeah, so that to me is I think there are people who are able-bodied that are extremely handicapped. People that are walking around that have, there's somebody at the door. I think Vonnie's out there or somebody. You can open it. Oh. There are people out there that are walking around they're emotionally they're emotionally crippled people. They don't have the ability they don't have coping skills for the things that are just kind of normal adversities that are going to happen. Everybody's going to have them. Oh, I have this many bills. I have this much money, and their world comes crashing down because that happens. Or I just was told this by my boss, or this guy over here triggered me and said this, and that's my trigger. Or this person over here misgendered me, and this person, it's just a bunch of soft people walking around out there. And I think that is when people have the inability to respond appropriately to things that are normal. You don't have to go far on YouTube to be able to watch somebody absolutely lose their mind over something that's not that big of a deal. It's like, seriously, dude, I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s, hey, you know what? You might not have made the baseball team. I probably drank from the hose a lot. My crib definitely had lead paint. I played on a merry-go-round that was on asphalt, and there was probably an adult or at least a high schooler spinning that thing as fast as he could go.
Our schools had asbestos in them.
Yeah,
I mean,
had asbestos in them. Remember the monkey bars that you climb
up
over?
Oh God, those were stitches.
Yeah,
all the girls I knew that went on that wound up with stitches.
Or how about the slide? You get on it. And
God, the one that would melt your skin.
Melt your skin. It would like melt to the slide. Or if you try going down, you have shorts on, the shorts will slap a little bit, and your back of your legs would just get all like burnt.
Well, the worst part was our parents would take us to do those things.
Yeah.
And then we're like, it's hot, it hurts. Hey, I just took my time on my day. You better make something of that. And you're like, oh, dude, oh no.
So that's,
I better have some fun.
Yeah, that's how I grew up. And I had parents that, and I have really compassionate parents. They're amazing people. But I'll tell you what, man, my dad did not play. If I stepped out of line, if I was
my father was
rude or obnoxious or whatever to my mom, he let me know. And I got cracked a couple times. I freaking deserved it every single time.
Oh,
you know, he was never out of line. Like, oh, you didn't have that. You didn't have that comment.
You've done the same thing. I mean, Sam doesn't. You got to plug Sam's ears. But I mean, we've all done stuff that we know that, hey, I deserve
Sam's
a little bit.
Sam's never done anything wrong.
I've deserved a little bit more cracking than I got, and I mean, I'll be the first to be very honest with you. I mean, there are things that my dad knew I did. He told me a long time ago when I thought I was a little bad, I brought you in this world, and I got no problem taking you out, but and I've never raised my hand at my father. That's something that no man should do. And I mean,
I thought about it. It was a very fleeting moment because then I remembered that there is very few things on this planet that I am terrified of, and one of them to this day is my dad. He turns 80 in a couple days, and I still think he could catch me. If he got a hold of me, I still think he could take me out.
That's my dad. My dad's the same age, man.
Oh, really?
But, born in, what did he say? 43. So he's like about 82, 83, I think.
43?
Yeah, 1943.
Yeah. So he'd be 80 exactly.
So it's just like, wow, man. Yeah. So I know, same thing. Even in the chair. I mean, I'm 6'2". My dad's 5'10", but no, I wouldn't try and take a swing at that man right now. Even if I could walk, I'm not stupid. I mean, I'll push the edge on things, but no, I'm not that foolish.
Dads are awesome, and there are some that aren't.
They are, but I mean, like,
but our dads, yeah, we had some.
I mean, I can tell you, you as well. I mean, I kind of see the things of the military and like the Navy kind of similar between you and the way you raise your children, the way kind of my dad raised me a little bit. I could see that.
Oh, you had to do push-ups?
Navy.
Did you do push-ups?
It wasn't push-ups with me, but what my father would do was he would set me up. So like at 8 years old, at 8 years old, I knew how to drive a stick shift.
Mm-hmm.
At 6, I knew how to drive an automatic. Because when you're out in the country, there were no payphones, and if anything happened, I had to get my dad help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what he would do is when I was younger, he was sitting there and he would fight, he'd start the lawnmower. And as a little kid, you want to impress your father. Well, one day I went out there and I was messing around and I started the lawnmower. My dad walked out and he goes, "Good job, buddy. Well, guess what? Guess what your new cheer is? You just learned how to cut grass." Just since that day I learned how to turn that motor on, I was cutting the grass.
Sam likes cutting grass.
Love it.
It's his favorite job.
What, has he got you out there pruning it like one by one when you're like,
oh no!
Even
how old were you? Like 13, maybe 14? I asked him once. I said, "What's your most unfavorite job here?"
And you answered.
He answered.
Oh no!
Should have said eating cotton candy.
Yep,
Something like that.
exactly. You should have went something just.
He said, probably mowing the lawn, and I was like, oh, "Wow, dude,
Dad, I hate
like
loading all your rounds.
It's like,
darn it, man.
It's like walking into the punch with your hands in your pockets, this guy. And I said, okay, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out of the hangar. I want you to get the lawnmower out. And I want you to start at that end. And I want you to not stop until you get to that end.
Oh, my God.
It's 2 or 3 days of being on a lawnmower. And so, and he was so mad at me. And at night, he'd just be like, oh, I got to go mow the lawn. I got to finish the lawn. But when he got done, he comes up to me and he was just like, he had this big smile on his face. He's like, "Hey, I'm done mowing the lawn." And I said, "So, how do you feel about that? How do you feel now?" And he was like, It feels amazing. That sense of accomplishment that he had. Well, that's one of the things that my dad would always do, right?
Yeah.
And so just it's that, and I mean, let's just be honest, it's super fun just setting your kids up, just like it's a T-ball, it's a layup, it's a soft serve, and you're like, you point at the fence before you stepped up to the plate, and
you give it to them,
and then for them just to walk into that punch like oh, but then they come out of that circumstance, that instance, learning something about themselves, learning how to deal with the adversity that was placed in front of them with intention and on purpose. That's the fun part of being a dad, because you watch your kids grow through that stuff.
The one thing I've noticed, I mean, in this journey, going to the wind tunnel, kind of working with kids with special abilities and stuff, like you were talking about handicap, I didn't use that word. I look at it as more of
I was just asking you if what does that word do, right?
I would say, like, on that word, I would say it sounds better when you go up to someone and you use the word physically, ably, or mentally challenged. Disabled and handicap is something
Disabled
they score.
is another one. Yeah.
Don't they use handicap to score golf? I don't play golf.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know what a handicap is because I don't play golf. So I'm not handicapped. I have a spinal cord injury and I can't use it. So I have a physical challenge. That's my problem. Some people are going to have an emotional challenge. Like kids have autism. People think that, oh, this child, no. You need to understand children with autism are very, very smart. It's just we lack the ability to really sit down and find that way of, because I mean, I've worked with people where their parents can get that kid in that one tunnel to fly for their life. And just me asking them to try, and I'll get you out as fast as you want. I've got parents asking me, how did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
My kid won't do that with me. Yeah, because I didn't ask your kid. I just said, dude, can you try?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want. You don't got to fly.
Yeah.
You're talking about flying. I'm just asking him to try. Just go in the one tunnel, feel it. And like when you're talking with your sons, I don't think a lot of men realize this, or a lot of young kids. I think this was missed. I don't think men realize the only person in your life, Sam, the only man you're ever going to meet that wants to see you do better than him is that guy right there, your dad. That's a true dad. They're the only people in your life as a man that want to see you. Hey, I made $1 million. Hell, my son's, he's made $3 million. That man's going to be clapping like I did something right. I mean, am I not being honest with that? I mean, I'm not a parent, but I mean, I've kind of pulled myself out and I kind of see, I've got to read people's body language.
Yeah.
You know, being in my situation, fight or flight was taken from me, so I've got to be very careful with the fight response, because sometimes you can get led down a bad road, and then I've had friends that have had to punch me to let go of people because, I've got to learn to control that anger sometimes. You know, you just snuck up on me one day at the wind tunnel, and you kind of got me in the rear naked, and you realized I went for the pinky, and you were like, you know something, huh? Nope. No.
We got to get you on the mats, man.
No, definitely.
Get you to victory, get you on the mats, and have a good time. I'll be a training partner. Sam will too.
But is that's a cool thing, you know, I think. Because honestly, that helps people too. A lot of people in wheelchairs do feel a little defenseless.
Yeah.
And, you know, what they don't get is that, I mean, people think because, you're in a wheelchair, you're going to have big arms and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not really a big built guy, but I'm able to beat bigger people than me because of endurance.
Yeah. Like,
I'll arm wrestle people and I'll stare you in the eye and I'll talk to you because I know that the lactose is building up. I know your arm's on fire. I use my arms all day. They're not on fire. I'm just using enough strength to hold on until I can feel it. And I can usually talk to someone and see in their eyes, and I see when that eye kind of glasses over and they realize this guy is talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
doing this whole thing, and then that's when I give it to them, and they are like, dude, I'm like, no, I'm not strong. You just let me fool you, no winning. Sometimes sometimes the guy that's the most quiet guy in the room, you don't know if he's a fool or if he's the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
You never heard him talk. But yeah, he sat there and we just listened to everybody else. So, sometimes it's that one person you just got to watch out for.
Another question I had for you. What does your future look like? What do you think is what is one of your things that you still want to accomplish? Where it's someplace you want to go, something you want to do, somebody you want to meet, or maybe it's I want to get this degree, or I want to go into this career. I want to do. Do you have any big goals that you haven't yet achieved?
I'm just trying to open the doors for places that kind of shy away from things, and then people just kind of get discouraged. So I mean, I want to do some traveling.
So qualify that.
Like there's those karting places. I can drive a car, but I can't drive their kart. So I can go there and watch everybody else have fun, but I can't have fun.
Yeah.
But I can drive a car.
Yeah.
So it's like a car really kills people. You're playing with a cart that you've got monitored to 35, 40 miles per hour.
Right.
They make hand controls for those. They install very easy on something you don't have anything in the way. But it's things like that where people are being told you can't do it because of your injury. I'm trying to get a 4 wheels for life kind of thing where I can go and I'll take the time. I'll figure out the way and I'll show you how it's done. Because when we started the skydiving thing, you told me, you're like, bro, I don't know how you're going to do this. I don't know. You've got to kind of figure this out. I don't know your body. I don't know. And I had to go through some races and I had to learn. So, I mean, if you want it, don't expect people to hand it to you. You're going to fail.
So you want to begin to kind of go down that road to encourage people to experience life through in the way that you have. Like let's lead with the adventure foot. Let's change our attitudes. Let's have a positive, like be able to create. You want to create something that's going to be able to be a magnet for other people that have challenges to be able to, I guess, transcend that challenge just for a moment, maybe while you're doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just want everyone to find I skydive. Just because I skydive, I don't expect someone else in a wheelchair to skydive. Maybe I like flying kites. Well, hey, I know how to fly a kite. Let me go pull one out. You want to learn? Let's go fly a kite.
Yeah.
That's the person. I don't want to have to sit there, and people got to go out of their way to find these specialty things, and they make it so hard. Like working with you, I've kept all the footage, and hopefully we can, look back at it in time, and it could maybe be a possibility that they can look at things and make a program to understand. Maybe I can open that door. Maybe I just do tandems and we figure that out until we can figure that door out. I mean, there's another thing on the game plan that we had discussed, but I mean, that's at a different point in time, but that's another thing, I really want to.
Yeah, I'd like to talk with you offline. We can do that after this, but talk about getting in with it's like Challenged Athletes Foundation, Make-A-Wish, and so we can do this, what you and I have been able to do, and making that available to other organizations that have people that have those people that are challenged in there. Let's do something for that. Let's make it a real thing.
I got to work with some vets, some ex-Marines, IEDs, amputees. They were taking them out quail hunting. And what they do is they put them on the back and they back the Polaris up and the dogs go through. Well, a lot of guys, you don't have core strength, so you could fall and you've got a 12 gauge. Well, I hooked them up, $30, you can get a pair of 5-point harnesses. Once they saw the harnesses, and then they also have the, when you race, they have a thing that locks up on the harness to keep your hands in place so they don't fly out the window. The Baja guys are the guys who really wear them. Some of the NASCAR guys will wear them. But they keep their hands just enough to turn and shift, but they can't do that. They flip. So, it shows you how much the equipment, I mean, if you can crash at 200 miles and survive, then there's got to be a way to figure this out.
Yeah.
It's just, I've got to sit down, kind of look at it, talk to right people, and just figure it out. That's all it is. It's just we're gonna make some mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you haven't made a mistake,
We're
you're
gonna
not
win.
trying.
Yeah.
You're not trying hard enough.
Failing forward, man. We'll fail forward. So, Joe, how can people find you? How can people contact you? What's your Instagram, Facebook? What is it?
Joe Denatto on Facebook and hashtag 4 Wheels for Life. It's 4 with the actual number 4, Wheels for Life.
And that's where?
It's on Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook. Do you have an Instagram?
It's I am Joe Denatto. It's I with the underscore.
I am Joe Denatto. And you're 1 T, right?
No, actually 2 T's.
2 T's.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm on the Creole side.
Got it. I remember you telling me the difference. Yeah.
But
So
we're a little bit different. Yeah, it might have been 1, but no. 2 T's.
all right. I am Joe Denatto. You can see it on the screen. And yeah, as we're going out on this, you have to play one of his skydiving videos. I think that'll be cool for everybody to see. So everybody's gonna be able to see that pretty face like flying through the air at 120 miles an hour. So again, thanks Emrod for the music, and thanks Baker for the T-shirt, and you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us, me and Joe, Sam, Zach.
Thanks, guys.
BramRadio. Stay dangerous.